Sure, I need to send the link, but you like go live every week and don't never send the link. I wonder if I could send a link from India because it's way only you friggin'. No man, I don't know if I don't Facebook on this laptop.
All right, let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. Let's get it popping. What's good, ladies and gents? We back again, another episode of the Experts, brought to you by the Solid Podcast. All rights reserved. The hottest sports podcast on the island, in the country, in the region, whatever you want to call it. It's your boy Sanzo, aka Sanzo Matic, was popping. Ladies and gents, was popping to my co-host, CJ the X Factor. How you
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
tonight,
yeah,
bro?
yeah.
What's good?
Yeah, holding firm, holding on.
So yeah, man. So we ain't gonna slap up too much tonight. We missed y'all on Sunday. Uh, I ain't gonna tell you why the reason we missed, but I just say we missed y'all on Sunday. Uh,
We.
but what I will say is NFL season getting tight. You know what I mean? We getting down to that playoff stretch. We starting to see that top seven forming in each conference. So that race getting tight, bro. The race getting tight. Hope your teams ain't get left out. Um, but let's start off with the slate of games that we had on Sunday. Um, first game I have on the schedule right here was the Saints and the Cowboys. How you felt about that game?
First of all, Saints and Cowboys was a Thursday game, but
Let's recap
nonetheless,
it.
gla- I glad the Cowboys finally look like they catch themselves. The Saints, we know they in the garbage can for the rest of the season, but they could play spoiler. They're in a division where they could play spoiler the teams that trying to make a little wild card run, trying to make a playoff run. But luckily, the Cowboys were able to pull it out. They're now 8-4, still in the lead in the trash NFC East. I don't see them going far, but at least they can make the playoffs this year and stop all that crying.
I mean, yeah, I don't really know how much the Cowboys could take away it, other than it's good for them to get back on track because they had a few questionable games the last couple of weeks. I mean, but at the end of the day, you playing the Saints, you playing a team on a third string quarterback. Many could argue Taysom Hill ain't really a quarterback, but you could have a whole another episode on that.
He's getting
Um,
paid like a quarterback.
Shoot, he's getting paid like one of the top quarterbacks. But anyway, uh, yeah, they beat up a team with a third string quarterback on it. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? You got to pick up your win somehow. And we've been saying from the start of the season that the Cowboys had a very, very soft schedule. So at the end of the day, get your wins, get them while you could. When playoffs come, we know that's a different animal. So it's what it is. Next up, another. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a toilet bowl game. The one team is not a toilet bowl team, but the game happened to be over rather quickly. Um, we got the Colts and the Texans. I don't know how much we could really say about this, other than the Texans was the Texans.
Well, for all the Carson Wentz haters out there, when I started off the season, I told people, hey, I feel like the situation that Carson Wentz is now in is much better than the situation he was in. Um, all y'all was running on because, started off 0-3. So I go, Wentz still garbage, this and that, blah, 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 all that running on. But now they've been picking it up as of late, and they actually have a good chance of making the playoffs even though they have a pretty tough schedule coming up. They on a bye this week. Then they got the Patriots coming off that bye, and then they got the Cardinals after that. So it's like they have a rough ride to get into the playoffs, but they like because it's 7 teams now rather than six. They aim on two out of the playoffs, and some of the teams who are on the edge, they teetering on that edge. So the Colts is one of those teams you don't want to see. The Day is one of those teams that started off slow, but if they sneak into the playoffs and buck out Tennessee Titans in the first round, my money on the Colts, especially if Derrick Henry is in there. So that they're becoming a dangerous team. That run game is crazy. Um,
Yeah,
um, I see them
dangerous.
upsetting someone in the first wild card weekend if they make it. And
Yeah.
that is
Well, I mean, that's still possible too. Let's just keep it real. That's still possible. The run game crazy. Jonathan Taylor, week after week, he continue to put up numbers. Um, yeah, and Carson, like you say, he find his groove. Dude's just balling. Again, I already know how much you could take from this game, but even if we just look at it from a big point of view, I mean, they look much better than the 7-16. But over the last couple of weeks, them dudes been looking like uh, one of the top teams in the AFC, if we being honest, over the last few weeks. Um, so, like you said, the schedule it ain't as easy coming down the stretch, but if they could weather that, then again, don't want to face a team like that. AFC is very tight right now, so some could shake either which way. Uh, Next up, we got a feel good story of the week. The Detroit Lions got their first win of the season against the Minnesota Vikings, a team that has been hot and cold all year, has played in close
yeah.
games
They just
all
shameful.
year, all year. And, you know, the Vikings deserve to lose this game. They is down big early. They made a comeback late um, with I think it's like 150 left on the clock. You give it to Jared Goff and you ask him to lead the team on the game winning drive. You may think, okay, well, game over, but Goff delivered. And the Lions walked out there with their first win of the season. Very shameful for Minnesota to lose to a winless team. Very, very shameful.
That I don't know what's going on with the Vikings, but I must say, if I know these GMs and stuff have more of a attachment to people, but after seeing the season and seeing this game, to be honest, this would be Kirk Cousins' last season as the Vikings quarterback. Not to say that Kirk Cousins can't still be productive. The only problem is like you got a young running back who top five in the league when he healthy. You got two good wide receivers, a nice tight end, and a solid defense. Not to say that Kirk Cousins is their Achilles heel because he does come out some game and ball, but that QB is on the market. Let's say a Baker Mayfield. Let's say what's your boy name in Houston? Deshaun.
Deshaun
Let's
Watson.
say we have people, you got people, players available now who could be on the market, who could put you over that hump with this team that only needs one more piece. With that being said, this off season, I would go all in on finding that extra piece and making the best of it because I would hate to see them waste this team, waste this talent. You have, like I say, you have a good offense, you have a good defense, and Kirk Cousins is just there. And I don't see him getting any. If anything, next season he's probably gonna dine even more. Like I say, at this point, I would go all in on a free agent or trade for a QB. Um, Because I don't see no top QB in the draft. Like I don't see no head and shoulders above anybody else QB in the draft. But this would be the season I'd let Kirk Cousins walk.
Yes, it's interesting because like you said, you look at their record. Um, you look at the amount of close games they played in, and you could see this a team that really supposed to be better, and they haven't been able to get separation in a lot of their games. And like I said, a better quarterback may may help that, may push them over the top. If you in all your games, you winning and losing half of them, you know what I mean? You get one piece that's significantly better than a quarterback that could catapult you to the top uh, of your conference or your division. You know what I mean? So um, we'll see how it plays out, but that's an embarrassing loss for them. They've been playing well for the last couple of weeks, but that's an embarrassing loss. You can't lose to the only team that ain't win a game in the NFL. That can't happen. So yeah, there's the definite losers. I mean, there's definite losers for this week for sure. Uh, the next game we have is the Dolphins and the Giants. Shout out to the Dolphins fans, by the way. Um, Dolphins been playing some good football. Oh, you got someone to drop? X to drop. Uh, Shout out to the Dolphins fans. Dolphins
Yeah.
been playing some good football. Um, how much they win in a row? Like five straight.
Yeah, they still trash because they won't win when it don't count. But kudos to the Dolphins, getting moral victories. They do this all the time. Either they win a game against the Patriots, which is like their Super Bowl, or they win games down the stretch in November, December when they have no chance of making the playoffs at this time. So yeah, and then on top of that, you beating up on teams that ain't really teams no more. Like they ain't like this the beginning of the season where you still optimistic at some point. The last 5 games for the Dolphins have been the Giants, the Panthers, the Jets, the Texans. Like, come on, bro. Like, yeah, you want a 5 game winning streak, but really, come on now. We see through this. This
You
like
gotta
this
beat
like
the teams in front of you, though.
just like the Panthers and the Broncos going 3-0 at the beginning of the season, and all they play was the Jets, the Jaguars, and teams like that. So it's like, yeah, cool. And guess what? They get on a bye this week, and then when they come off a bye, they got the Jets again. Ooh, let's go for 6 straight. Yeah, okay, cool. But
Yeah,
um, they
I
ain't
think
going
it's good for
nowhere.
their
They
momentum,
they
though.
they 6-7. They can make it interesting at the end if they continue to win. But to be honest, if I was the Dolphins, with this team that they got, I wouldn't even want to make the playoffs because with Tua as your QB and from what I see in that struggling offense, if you even scrap that 7 seed, you buck a first seed coming in hot like Ravens or something. Even though you beat the Ravens this season, surprisingly, or the Chiefs. You buck the Chiefs first game, but you can
Yeah,
get
but the Chiefs is
embarrassed.
different.
You
Yeah,
can
the
get
Ravens is
embarrassed.
probably their best win of the last stretch.
Cheapest they don't. If I was them, I wouldn't even do it because you get in that first round and get embarrassed. But I don't. Like I said, I don't see them making it. They're. Let me see how much games back. They're not too far back. They're 6-7. They're like 2 games back from that 7 seed, and they do have a favorable schedule. They could make, like I said, they could make it interesting the last week or two of the season, but I don't see it. Um, but yeah, they beating the teams that they should beat. Hopefully, coming out the bye week now is gonna determine how far they go. If they come out being a good team and they come out win another 2 games or so, they could be in the playoff hunt. But if they come out feeling themselves off a 5 win and getting lackadaisical and stuff like that, then they'll be right back to the bottom. And December ain't a favorable month for them.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bad time to be on a bye too. I mean, for them, you having all this momentum of 5 straight wins. You're done in a team that's a proven winner. right? You need as much momentum as possible to carry into game after game. Like you said, you don't want to get locks, have a week off, relax a little bit or whatever the case would be, and then come out a little rusty, and then get beat. Luckily, like you said, they playing the Jets, so that should be a win either way. But yeah, it's a bad week 5 on a bye. We'll see what happens. They've been playing good. You got to give them credit. You know what I mean? So, shout out again. Shout out Dolphins fans. Next one we got Tampa Bay, and we got the Atlanta Falcons. Um, I don't know much more what much you could say. Tom Brady beats Atlanta again. I think this makes him 10-0 against the Falcons for his career, which I think is like the second best winning streak against for a quarterback against a particular team. Um, yeah, nothing really much to say other than expected outcome, I guess.
Yeah, this is a pretty straightforward game. Uh, Once again, Tom Brady being the goat that he is, just makes it look easy. He went for 300, over 300 yards, 4 touchdowns. He had an interception, but yeah, he ain't really his fault. At the age he at, the man still throwing 51 passes a game. He had two of those touchdowns, I think, to Gronk. So it's like, yeah, and from what he said after the game, he's like Tampa Bay hasn't played their best game yet, which I agree with because I watch every game that they play, and I still feel like they haven't put together a full, complete game. Like one week the defense will win it for them, one week the offense will win it for them, but it hasn't been a full. Okay, like the last time we saw a full game from them was probably the Super Bowl when they completely destroyed Kansas City Chiefs. But so far, I haven't seen a full, complete game. But they have some other games to tune up on coming on the stretch. Next week, they got the Bills. Well, this week, I should say. They have the Bills. But after the Bills, you got the beat up Saints, which you could beat up on. You got the Panthers twice, which you could beat up on, and then you got the Jets in between there. So going into the playoffs, they could pick up some good momentum going into the playoffs, um, which Tom Brady loves to do this time of year. All they need to do is stay healthy, basically, and I feel like Tampa Bay has a shot against anyone, even though the NFC is very heavy this year. The NFC,
Very top heavy.
yeah, it's very top heavy this year.
Very top heavy.
Um, I just feel like even with all that, I still think that Tampa Bay is still like I would say top one, top two team in NFC, complete like all around.
Yeah. I guess you could say that. I mean, I guess you could say that. They definitely a top 3 team for sure. They fighting with the Packers and the Cardinals right now. But I mean, they're Super Bowl champions last year, so um, you got to give them their respect at the end of the day. Um, and championship teams, as we've seen from across not just football but across various sports, they have a way of coasting throughout the season. Just getting there and getting there healthy is the biggest key for them. They got Gronk back playing at a nice, solid level. Um, so just getting to the finish line, which is the playoffs, healthy, and having the main core guys healthy and rested is a goal for them. So definitely can't count them out of any matchup. Definitely can't. Uh, the next one we have here, we have the Jets and the Eagles. But listen, if that's what I think. I thank God in a way I wasn't picking Sunday because I'd have definitely picked the Jets to win this game. You talk
Of
about
course
Jalen
you
Hurts
would.
being out. Um, Zach Wilson had a good game, right? I gotta show love the moment, right? Moment had a decent game. You understand
I
what I'm saying?
mean, good by his standards.
Good by your standards. Good by your standards has been set earlier this season, and we didn't already see that he ain't the only problem. We already see three quarterbacks get rotated through this offense, and all three getting their head punch in, right? But let me show love to your boy Gardner. He played very good, very well in the absence of Jalen Hurts. He was able to get it done, and Philly, Philly still hanging in there, but they still rolling a little bit. They just doing enough just to get by in some of these games.
Yeah, well, that's why, like I said earlier, it was such a big win for the Cowboys because if the Cowboys lost, they would be only one game ahead of Philly and Washington, who was 6-6. So it's like I don't want people to think this is a runaway. It should have been a runaway. It really should have been a runaway this year between the Cowboys and the rest of the division. But sad to say, you got them battling to secure easy division in this December. And coming down the stretch, the Cowboys have Washington twice. So Washington is the team with right behind them. If Washington actually beats them one or two out of them, you have a problem. And then
Washington on a 4 game win streak right now.
your last two games after you play Washington twice, then you got the Cardinals, which is probably a loss if healthy, and then the last game you have against the Eagles in Philadelphia. So if the Cowboys don't be careful these last 5 games, if they go 2-3 or 1-4, they could see themselves on the outside looking in.
Yeah, it'd be heartbreaking for them to do that. But like you said, the scheduling in kind, and we already see that they could lose some winnable games. So um, Cowboys had such a good year, but it'd be heartbreaking to see them really faulty up coming down the stretch. So shout out to the Cowboys fans. I hope you all hold on, and I hope you all do good things this year in the
No,
playoffs. I
no,
doubt
no.
you all will, but I hope you all do.
First of all, they
Uh,
trash, and second of all, they the second worst fans after Dolphins fans. So
it's a first
just
response. I mean, it's second versus the Bohemians. I think
just
there's
for them
not.
sake, I hope they lose. And that whole dark thing, I don't be into that.
All right. Next up, we got Bears and we got Cardinals. Cardinals bump up to 10-2. Best team in the NFL right now. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Best team by record, yeah. Like I say, record wise, the Cardinals is the best team. But to be honest with you, I still don't see a weakness when it comes to Tampa Bay. And I'm not just saying that because of Tom Brady, but if you go and you put head to head position and you put head to head spots, yeah, you might have stronger talent at about 3, 4 positions, but team wise, at the positions you need key, Tampa Bay has more weapons because after like people like let's say DeAndre Hopkins, who they wide receiver two is, or wide receiver three, old AJ Green, wash up, Kirk something, Christian Kirk or whatever.
Mhm.
Cool. You really want to? Okay, you might have DeAndre Hopkins, but when you put him against Mike Evans, yeah, he's better than Mike Evans, but Mike Evans is still up there. But then when you go to wide receiver two, you got Godwin, you got Antonio Brown, who looked like he ain't making no sense, but I think he would be back for the playoffs and has a
He should be
point of
back.
proof. Even though they pick up Zach Ertz, come on, man, we see what Gronk doing, and they already have OJ Howard. Then when you go running back, Leonard Fournette uh, against James Conner, to me, I feel like they offset, even though it doesn't look so. But Tampa Bay doesn't run the ball as much, so it wouldn't look so.
I take
But
Fournette slightly.
but we see what Fournette could do when he gets his touches. The man just got
Yeah.
like 4 touchdowns the other day. If you want to go on the defensive side of the ball, they've been banged up. But when you go to cornerbacks, you got Richard Sherman there, you got Davis there, you got like they got some good pieces now. I see they saying Richard Sherman is now practicing safety. And what people don't realize is one of the scariest things you could do is put a top cornerback at safety. because now he could use his ball catching, ball hawking skills. But now he have a head start because he doesn't start to the line of scrimmage anymore or 5 yards off. He's starting 20 yards back in the field where he has a bigger, greater view of the field. And it really turned, I think guys like Charles Woodson did that before, and it turned out to be very successful for his late years in his career.
Hmm.
When you look at linebackers, obviously Tampa Bay have some of the best linebackers in the league. The only thing I see them on defense being better at is they have Buda Baker, young safety, but even defensive line. When you look at Fida Vea and you look at Dominican Sue, boy, I ain't even the edge over the Cardinals defensive line. So, like I say, record wise, the Cardinals are better. I'm not saying that Tampa Bay would slaughter them, but I would give them the edge. Tampa Bay would be the edge for me. Go in top to bottom uh, on a 53-man roster. I'd give the edge to Tampa Bay when it comes to talent wise and execution wise.
Yeah, to me, I think it's not really. I mean, like you say, record wise, probably. And you also got to give them credit. They was able to win 2 games without their quarterback. So to have the best record in the league, um, at about 2 games without your quarterback, you won. It's still impressive. Um, but in the grand scheme of things, it's so tight in the NFC. You got them at 10-2, then the Packers and Tampa Bay at 9-3. It's really too close of a call to me to say that they the clear cut best team. And even though they won games, like I say, uh, without their without Kyler Murray playing, I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, Colt McCoy ain't really playing in the playoffs, so that don't really factor into anything. Um, so you have to match it up from a standpoint of full strength, every team healthy, full strength. Who has the better roster? Who has the better coaching? Uh, who will make the better adjustments? You haven't seen Kyler Murray on that stage. He's the least experienced out of all three of those quarterbacks that I just mentioned. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. It's a tall task. I'd say like that. It's a tall task either which way, because like I said, that's a gauntlet. Up top there is very top heavy. Um, so that would be a bloodbath, a bloodbath to get out. And it'll be a very interesting part of the playoffs for sure. Um, Next up, we got the Bengals and we got the Chargers. Uh, what's your
I
thoughts on this
was
one?
I was highly disappointed in this game. Um, Me personally, if I did pick Sunday, I probably would have picked the Bengals. Um, I don't understand. Like, and this is why I say the AFC is so weak this year. You got teams like these two who show so much great potential, and they have young quarterbacks and young wide receivers and young defenders, and they just week after week come in. And 1 week they could play like Super Bowl contenders, and the next week they play like toilet bowl contenders. So it's like, what what do you want to be, or what is your identity in this league? You can't. Consistency is key. Tom Brady has shown that model because this ain't the NBA. This ain't no best of three, best of five, best of seven. When you get to the playoffs, you got two, three straight games that you have to play your best football in order to make it to the Super Bowl. If you don't be playing your best games at that point in time, you will be sitting at home. So the thing with them, with the Bengals, why I say they disappointed me is because at some point I expected them to pull away, but it's like they play a good game where they look like, oh yeah, this is them. They but start rolling, and then the next week they come back and look like, oh yeah, this look like the whole Bengals in the trash can. So I may still give the Chargers their props, but the Chargers do the same thing. The Chargers come out this week and hang 41 on a good Bengals team, but then we just saw them lose last week to the Broncos, and couldn't score more than 13 points. So it's like, then they come out and put 41 on the Steelers, and then the game before that they get beat from the Vikings, who just get beat from the Lions. So it's like, come on, bro. Like, what's going on? I don't
Consistency is
know.
key.
I don't know why the AFC is like that this year, but these guys just inconsistent at no point.
Yeah, it's an inconsistent division now. I mean conference now in the whole. You have the Bengals team who, I mean, you thought like they had a disappointing loss a couple of weeks back to the Browns. This game I thought was probably going to go well up until I see Joe Burrow had a little injury to his pinky or whatever. But um, still, to get embarrassed like this, the amount of turnovers you gave up, you know, you had a fumble by Joe Mixon, had a fumble by I mean not fumble, a couple interceptions by Burrow, and the Chargers capitalized, and that was that. I mean, but again, like you say, for a team that's really trying to make a push, you know, to lose like that, um, that one could leave a sour taste in your mouth. Um, the Chargers took advantage of it this week. We'll see how they play down the stretch. Um, but yeah, that's an embarrassing loss for the Bengals for sure. And those are the type of losses you don't want to have.
Yeah.
Um, Next one, not much of a contest here at all. The Rams and the Jaguars. Yeah, really not much to make about this. You know, winning the games is supposed to win, like we talk about. Good to see OBJ getting on track, starting to become a little familiar with what's going on there. Um,
It's good to see
and
Matt Stafford going back to what he should have been, what he should have never left. Um, when OBJ first came, he tried to get him involved and tried to do extra, force feeding him, and they was getting beat by average teams that they shouldn't have lost to. They lost to Tennessee without Derrick Henry. Then they came back and lost to the 49ers. And I was like, bro, like these are teams that you could have easily beat going into your bye. But if you watch those games, the offense wasn't flowing because a lot of times he missed Odell. And then when you try to come back to Cooper Cup, the rhythm is off, this and that. It just wasn't the same. But now, when you see him come out against the Jaguars, and I hope they don't just look at it like, oh, we playing the Jaguars, so let's do this. But they came out feeding Cooper Cup. Cooper Cup is your number one. Cooper Cup is your best wide receiver. He may not have the name of Odell, but at this point in time, if you're trying to win a championship, you don't go with name. You go with who putting out production. So they started feeding Cooper Cup, and then that opened the game because at some point they end up putting Odell one on one on the right side and was able to throw a fair touchdown where he was one on one. And the only reason he was one on one is because Cooper Cup at that time was just torching them. So it's like, wait, we rather double Cooper Cup and leave Odell one on one, and that's when you get burned. So if the Rams want to continue that dominant offense that they had at the beginning of the season, before they got Odell, they have to realize that Cooper Cup is your best receiver and that's your bread and butter. Odell is second fiddle. Right now, he still isn't 100%. Every week, I see a new injury. They saying, oh, he still
yep,
needs shoulder surgery. He never get it. Or now he have a hip pointer. Or he got something like, big man, listen, anybody into all that crap, man. You come out here to play, or you stay home. Like, yeah, buddy. Like Odell burning his bridges to the point to where if he doesn't play good now, he might end up on a trash team this summer. Or to be honest, I think he can end up in Tampa Bay because I don't think they can keep Antonio Brown after the season. Um, I know people hate to hear me say it because they think that I just want everybody to play Tom Brady, but these guys legit want to play Tom Brady. And I see Godwin is on the last year of his contract. And like I say, I don't think Antonio Brown is going to be back after this whole fiasco he just pulled. So at the end of the day, Odell might go there and be the number two wide receiver to Mike Evans. And that's gonna be crazy because Tom can find him. But that's for another story for another day. But yeah, the Rams, if healthy and if going through their normal playbook where they feed in Cooper Cup, this is the team I'm most scared of to beat Tampa Bay. Other than I'm more afraid of this team than I am of the Packers or the Cardinals, honestly and truly, because of their defense. If you look at it, you got Aaron Donald, who's the reigning defender of the year, and then you also have Jalen Ramsey, who's arguably the top cornerback in the league, along with
Hmm.
they picked up your boy from Denver, who hasn't kicked in yet, but at some point he will become a factor.
He's a battle
So
tested player.
exactly, so and he's used to he has been used to disrupting Tom Brady in the past. So it's like, but if you see the Rams and the, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers buck, I feel like that could be their biggest test rather than the Packers or the Cardinals. So hopefully they don't buck and someone else can knock them out before they reach Tampa Bay. But if not, I could see them being Tom Brady's biggest challenge going forward.
Yeah, they like I say, we talking about the top teams in the NFC, and we forget that well, it started off very very good. Um, Tailed off for a few weeks a little bit, but listen, I mean, it takes a couple of weeks just to get back in shape, and then you know the type of team they are, um, and you like you said, you know what they bring on defense. They have the veterans, they have the weapons now on offense. It's just a matter of if they can put it all together. Um, we'll see. Stafford, as like you said, he has to get back to playing his game, um, and get out of his own head a little bit. It's good to get a confidence boost like that against a toilet bowl team. So you get that and you move on and you try continue to build off that. Um, Speaking of building, next game we have the Washington football team versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Washington is now won four straight, and they right back in the thick of things right now in that playoff race. Um, yeah, I don't know what more you could say about them. They play hard every Sunday. The wins just was never coming. Um, but now the wins starting to come a little bit. You know what I mean? And Heineken looking better week by week. Um,
I think a game like this isn't more on Washington winning; it's more on the Raiders losing. Honestly and truly, I don't know what's going on, but they lose. Excuse me. They lose games that are questionable. You get beat from the Giants, getting beat like from the Bengals. Now you're getting beat from Washington. Like these are close games, but these are games that turn your season. These are games that are one score away. So these are games where your record could go from 5-7 to 7-5. That's really the difference because of one or two scores. Um, I don't know what's going on in the Raiders. I don't know if it's the Gruden hangover or whatever, but their
it's
road
possible.
isn't get their road isn't getting no easier. They got to play the Chiefs this week. Then they going against Cleveland Browns team who's still hungry. Then you're going against the Broncos team, even though the Broncos aren't like a winning team. The Broncos defense is really top notch. Then you got a streaking Colts team you got to go against, and then you end the season in Los Angeles against the Chargers. Well, not in Los Angeles, but you end the season against the Chargers. That's a team who could, like you see, we just see, could come out and score 41 points. So I don't know what's going on with the Raiders, but they starting to turn into a toilet bowl team.
Yeah, I think mentally they've been through a lot, but I think mentally they sort of done dog. When you look at, like you said, the Gruden issue, you look at what happened with Henry Ruggs, and it's like, but yeah, had a lot of off the field stuff going on. Like it's one thing if it's just injuries, which happens to every team, but you got all that off the field drama and that bleeding into the locker room, and it taking out key members of your organization who was there from the start. Start to affect you a little bit. You know what I mean? And I think that's the situation that they facing right now. It's just starting to affect them. I think it's starting to mount on them. And they start off very promising to the season. Derek Carr looked really really good to start the year. We was expecting big things out of them this year, and all that unforeseen stuff has hit them like a pile of rocks. To be honest, so I don't know if they can rebound and get back on track, but we'll see. Stranger things have happened. Um, Now you want to talk about a team that lost a game. We could talk about what the Ravens did to the Steelers, or what the Steelers did to the Ravens. Um, I just don't know. At this point, I think for the Ravens, we had Lamar Jackson as an MVP candidate all year, and now I don't know where to put him on that list because I mean their offense has been so stuck in the mud, and to lose to this Steelers team, that's just a bad loss altogether. You know what I mean? Um,
It's not just the offense being stuck in the mud. It's the fact that so much weight is on one guy. Like literally, you got Lamar who leads you in passing, and then the guy still has to come on lead you in rushing. Like, come
yep.
on, man, that's crazy. It's one thing to be a mobile quarterback, and then it's one thing to where you literally got to lead the team in rushing, bro. Like that's ridiculous. Like and not just like 1 week when they need you to step up or 2 weeks when the team a little slow. Literally from the beginning of the season, this man had no running back, and he has to come out here and score and run the ball every single week. So it's like at some point defenses are going to wear him down. At some point defenses are going to hit him and get him frustrated and realize that hey, this guy is a mobile quarterback. You want him to get out of the pocket because now hits are gonna start to pile up. This is the part of the season where guys get injured because you've been taking hits so long that the body now becomes vulnerable. So it's like they don't even really even have a protection plan because when you see certain other people in the back, they're like, I guess Devontae Freeman and stuff like that. It's almost like, yeah, bro, you ain't been good in like 3 years. Like, yeah, hand him the ball. Let me see what he can do. Give him the ball. And at the same time, Lamar Jackson is getting the ball once or twice on a drive. But even he starts to see that, wait, you only getting 2 yards, 3 yards on these pull plays or these sweep plays. If I pull that ball out on an RPO and I run it myself, I could get 5, 7 yards. So
Yep.
what I gave you this ball for? Try out all your head. So it's like Baltimore is getting predictable, but at the same time, it was a bad call at the end of the game. These coaches this year, I don't understand what they doing. I don't know if guys trying to like show off or go above and beyond, but you didn't need to go for two. This was almost like the Buffalo game earlier this year, I think against Tennessee, when they had a chance to kick a field goal and tie it up, and on 4th and 1, you want to run the ball with your quarterback. Like
Yep.
I don't know why coaches making these dumb decisions, these risky decisions, but you don't do these things when you down. When the score tie, or when you up one or up two, you could say, okay, let me go for two so I can put it out of field goal range and make them have to score a touchdown. But bro, you down one. If you don't get it, you lose. So I don't understand the play call there. I guess they felt like in practice they had this play that is unstoppable, but obviously it was stopped. And now you put yourself out of first place, which in the AFC the first place team has a bye. So now you just took your team out of first place in the AFC, and that's a weak way to rest. For a team that has a quarterback who has to do everything, that number one seed is very important and
Yep.
very essential to a
Hmm.
team that has someone like Lamar Jackson who needs rest after carrying this team for literally 17 games. So I don't understand the play calling, and I feel like it's going to come back to bite them in the long run this season.
This decision could have been made because they probably um, didn't want to risk it going into another overtime. Like you said, knowing that Lamar Jackson does so much for that offense, I still believe, even though he's not going to win MVP, it's hard to name another player more viable to his team than Lamar Jackson, just based off of uh, what he does every Sunday or every given week. But like you say, for a team that relies on basically one guy to control the entire offense, and he's been doing a decent job doing it, you got to make sure that dude is healthy and rested when it comes to playoff time. And if you could get a bye, get a bye. They're in a position where, like the Cardinals or something, where they could throw away a game, and maybe get a bye later. The AFC tight right now, very, very, very tight. Um, and one loss could have you going from second to like seventh. So you have to really count all these wins and count them close because it's a very tight conference right now. Uh, Next up, we got the Seahawks and the 49ers. What was your thoughts on this one?
49ers is another disappointing team. But I don't mind them losing this year. Usually I'll pull for them, but that Jimmy G situation, like I say, I don't like that there. Um, I see people saying, "Oh, Jimmy G is starting to play better. He's putting them in positions of winning and all that, blah blah blah." I don't know what games they watching. I don't know if they just watch the highlights or the end of games. But from what I see, he had two touchdowns. He had 299, which is basically 300 yards. But he still had two interceptions. Like this is the difference between that doesn't make Jimmy G elite. If Jimmy G elite, if he was more of a game manager, I know people don't like to hear that, like because people be like, "Oh, game managers aren't that explosive quarterback, or they're not fun to watch, whatever, blah blah blah." But to be honest, if this guy was that type of game manager or something like that, he would be a better quarterback because he takes certain plays and makes certain throws or do certain things that you'd be like, bro, that was totally unnecessary. Why would you even try to make that pass? Or why would you do this? And actually, all you would do is hand the ball off or throw the ball out of bounds or make the safer play, make the smarter play. But like I say, I don't see Jimmy G going past the season with San Francisco, but he could be one of the players on the radar. What I was saying when it comes to Minnesota, Jimmy G in that offense with that running back and those offensive weapons and wide receivers, I feel like Jimmy G could be a better option for them than Kirk Cousins at this point in time. So, especially if San Francisco decides to either go with Trey Lance or decides to pursue Aaron Rodgers, Jimmy G obviously could be a favorable option to leave and go to Minnesota or someplace else that needs him. And on the other side, Russell Wilson, I see rumors saying that he could be leaving Seattle too this year.
Go with.
That's people saying the Saints. The Saints have an offense built to win. This year, they had people don't realize that defense is still pretty good, and the offense only looks stink this year because their two stars literally wasn't in. If you put Michael Thomas in there along with uh, Kamara,
Kamara.
and then you put Russell Wilson behind with that. Kamara, who likes to catch the ball in the backfield, Russell Wilson, who could move around in the backfield and loves to dump off his running backs, and then you got a number one wide receiver on that end. That could be a pretty good team, to be honest, going forward. But it take a lot to get Russell out of Seattle. I don't know if they want to give up a lot, so I guess we'll see how that goes in the offseason.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Seattle, they had a disappointing season. I mean, some of it is, obviously because of injuries and all that other stuff. Um, they ain't completely out of it yet, and I think this is an important win for them when you talk about to save their season to a degree. Uh, Russ, he did enough to get the job done on offense, and then Jimmy G, I thought he had a very uh, bad regression game. I thought they went away from what was working in those crucial wins, which was using the run game, and I thought he just got out of character really through a few bad interceptions. Um, and these are the games you really want to lose against a team that was struggling. The Seahawks was struggling, um, even with Russell Wilson coming back. It's a tough loss for a team that's trying to prove to people that they here and that they arrived. But you take one step forward, two steps back. So
Yep.
that's how it is, and similar like we talked about that with the Bengals as well. Similar situations. Uh, Next up, we got um, to me two interesting games. That I think we'll be talking about these teams a little later on in the season. Obviously, we got the Chiefs and Broncos. The Chiefs are finding their groove now. Finding their groove now. Limited the Broncos to only 9 points. Um, However, Patrick Mahomes, has not thrown a touchdown in two consecutive games now. This is the first time in his career as a starting quarterback that has happened. Is that a cause for concern?
Um, I wouldn't say concern because at the end of the day, you still win those two games. So it's not like, okay, he's causing you to lose these things. At the end of the day, it's much easier to have a good all around team and have to fix one piece, which is Patrick Mahomes, who I feel will fix himself and get himself together, than to have Patrick Mahomes out there or to be in a situation like Baltimore where you have one piece who is actually superstar and then you have a whole team that he has to carry. So in this instance, the whole team is putting forward a good effort. They're bouncing back tremendously from the start of the season. But I wouldn't say they rolling because we have seen Kansas City at their best. A game like this, they would score minimum 40 points. And to be honest, Teddy Bridgewater wasn't making it much easier on his team either. Teddy Bridgewater threw two interceptions, only one touchdown. He wasn't at his best. They also had a fumble. So it's like I wouldn't say the Chiefs played a dominant game because he still only won by basically two scores. But it's good to see them getting back on track, making the race good down the end. And the Broncos defense actually is pretty good. Like
Yep.
it ain't just that old Patrick Mahomes have a glitch going on, but it's literally that hey, the Broncos defense is really that good. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think it's. I don't think it's a big deal. Like you said, if they was losing the games, then maybe. If he's throwing an abnormal amount of interceptions, then maybe as well. I mean, he threw an interception. That was unfortunate, but um, look, I just think Mahomes right now. I think what's great about the Chiefs is their defense has stepped up to the plate. This is a team that early in the season had the worst defense in the league. Now you see that defense come into play. and it's starting to help them to win games, right? Even while Mahomes is not dominant offensively. And with Mahomes, you can see he's just thinking and thinking, taking what the defense is giving him. They're still protecting against the deep ball, against his deep threats. So he's just taking what the defense is giving him and doing just enough to win. And that's what you need to do at some point. It's all about getting wins at the end of the day. Like you say, do I trust him to fix himself? I do. He's proven in the last however many long years that he'll find a way uh, to make plays. It may not be the same high explosive plays that he has been making, but this way you have to have counter attacks. And I think you're starting to see him counter certain defenses that are designed to obviously stop him in the Kansas City offense. It's about doing just enough to win. And then, two score game, like you say, but look, you were 60-yard bomb, the Tyreek Hill away from it being uh, almost 30 points you put up, right? So, minor things, I don't see it as a cause for concern. But most important thing is they getting the win. And I think that's all that matters to people. Uh, and of course, speaking of getting the win, we got our last one, the Monday Night Boy. Um, we got the Bills and the Patriots. Now, before you start, let me just say this because I'm on here no foolishness out of you tonight. Let me just say this. You didn't come with your Mark Jones parade for the last couple of weeks. We already know this game ain't about Mark Jones. Um, Patriots threw three passes all night. Um, the run game, was clicking. Um, and this is really a testament again to, I don't want to say a farewell tour because he ain't retiring, but it's important to give people their flowers. And we're hearing a lot of talk again before the season about how Belichick, who was it? Was it Brady? Was it Belichick? Who was responsible for the rings? And I think we at the point now where we can confidently say it was definitely both. They had the greatest coach of all time, and they had the greatest player of all time. Uh, what was your takeaway from that game?
First of all, you don't tell me how to talk about my team, because that's my team. Uh,
Yeah, start your foolishness.
it was a great win. People even had us as the underdog, even though um, coming into the game, we've proven, obviously, over the last 5, 6 games, that we have been playing better than Buffalo, where they have been faulty up the past couple games, making bad calls and bad plays. But nonetheless, the Patriots went in there. I watched the pregame and I saw the horrible weather they had to play in. But what people don't realize is this is the team built for that. This is the team that plays in similar conditions in Foxborough. So coming to Buffalo, that's not even a home field advantage for them because the Patriots play in the snow and the breeze all the time as well. So that's key. That's
The
number
win was something
one.
else. The
And
win
then
was.
you had Belichick, who was used to coaching in this type of weather, who was used to game planning for this type of weather. So obviously, the three passes wasn't Mac Jones' decision. It was obviously the decision of the coaching staff that said, "Hey, we could run this ball as much as we want. What they can do? There's only so much times you could stop. You have a running back who carried the ball 24 times, and he wasn't even our starting running back. So when you look at it, it was like, okay, this was just basically a game of who could score on the ground. And as we can see throughout the season, the Patriots have had the best ground game out of these two teams, whereas Buffalo Bill had a better air attack. They have Stephon Diggs and they have Emmanuel Sanders and they have Josh Allen and they have this high flying offense. But on a night like tonight, Obviously, the ground game is gonna be the key to victory. I see them playing again in a few weeks, and I guarantee you, once the weather isn't just as bad, that game is gonna be a shootout. And I expect Mark Jones to throw for about 300 yards and surprise people because people are gonna think that okay, in better conditions, a shootout game would favor the Bills, and I feel like Mark Jones is gonna come out there and play a good game. Um, Not predicting yet that we'll win, even though I probably will still predict that the Patriots going to win. But just saying that I feel like the next game wouldn't be the same as this game, Toronto, run the ball, ground and pound game. The next game we'll have more air attacks, we'll have more uh, big plays, we'll have more trick plays and strategies from both sides. But all in all, it was a good win. The Patriots are now the number one seed in the AFC once again, with a 9-4 record after starting off 2-4, when no one believed in us. Everybody saying we was done.
Well,
Everybody's
you
quit.
barely believe in y'all. So
No, 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 I
I
picked the
don't know
Patriots
about you.
every single week. Every single week, I picked the
You
Patriots.
got a choice for the victim. Do you
I
have
picked
them
all,
as the top of the AFC this late into the season? Hell
of
no, you
course,
didn't.
of course. I told you we was winning our taking our division back this
Oh
year.
Lord.
I said that from the beginning. We's taking our division
Oh
back
Lord.
this season. This is the easy
Oh
one
Lord.
for me. The Bills, them, y'all don't really like. I keep telling you, it's a window in football. You're only gonna be good for so long. The Bills have already had their 2 year window. This is their third year. After this year, I don't see the Bills being good no more. Same thing happened to Jacksonville Jaguars. Same thing happened to the Atlanta Falcons. Same thing happened to plenty teams who were good at one point in time. This is also the Browns last year being good, to be honest with you too. But it's a window.
I mean,
You, you see
definitely. I mean,
teams like the Steelers. The Steelers window is closing until they get rid of Ben Roethlisberger. Um, the Patriots just somehow because of coaching, and it's not just Belichick. I always tell people we have it's an organizational thing. People like to I mean, I guess he's the head, so he takes the glory and he takes the faults when things go bad. But it's an organizational thing. You got Josh McDaniels who's been carrying that offense for years and years. You
definitely
get
deserves credit.
you got Belichick's son who was there, but even before Belichick's son on that defense, almost every defensive coordinator who was underneath Belichick has gone on to be a head coach in the NFL. Head coach of the Lions, head coach of the Dolphins, head coach of the Texans, head coach of the Giants. So it's like he had quality coaches on his staff for years to come. I mean, yes, pass. So at the end of the day, it's a team effort and it's an organizational effort. But for some reason, boy, the Patriots just got that magic. As long as Robert Kraft there supporting Belichick and as long as they got that mojo going, um, I see us being contenders almost every year.
Yeah, of course you would run them. But look, I mean, they're top of the AFC again. Congrats to them. Congrats to them being at top of the AFC again. You know, you look at this. This is a very impressive win to me. Probably their best win of the season. Your quarterback only have 19 yards, and you able to put out a W. I mean, what other team in the NFL you think could have a quarterback who only have 19 yards, 3 pass attempts, and they put out a W? Damian Harris goes down, one running back, and he only had 10 carries. He has as much touches as Stevenson. He might have rushed for 250, right? So uh, this is a very impressive win. Um, are they the team to beat in the AFC? I still don't know yet. You still have a good bit of season left to go. Right now, they're the top seed for sure. Right now, you definitely don't want to play them in the playoffs for sure. Right now, they're riding, 7-game win streak or something like that. So, still don't know yet. Rookie quarterback in the playoffs, I got to see how that plays out. I got to see how that plays out. A rookie quarterback in the playoffs. We know Mark Jones is not an ordinary rookie. He plays with poise of a of a veteran. He's a solid game manager and that can explode from time to time. But at the end of the day, he's still a rookie. And we know how the playoffs get. We know how nasty the playoffs can get. It'll be interesting to see. And I'm hoping and praying we get that AFC showdown between them and the Chiefs. I'd like to see that matchup. Um, I'd like to see how that one turns out. So, yeah, that was uh, NFL Sunday and NFL just in general recap. Very good games. Hopefully, we'll see how Week 14 turns out. Tune in to Sunday when we check out Week 14, um, Sunday morning. To our next episode, sponsored by Rev and Rev Trio, the good folks at Rev Trio. Uh, Moving on to some NBA stuff. We had recently had some reports coming out. Uh, Dame Lillard unhappy in Portland. Um, you have a lot of drama going on down there. They firing the team presidents. You know what I mean? Dame saying that he would like to play with a guy like Ben Simmons. Um, my question to you is, do you think this is Dame last season in Portland?
For his sake, I hope it is. To be honest, yeah, I understand the loyalty thing, and we applaud it. And I ain't saying go there and be no ring. I wouldn't say ring chaser, no man chaser, and go join a super team. But
No mind, Jason. Well,
I would like to see him in a different environment. Even if he goes on a team where he's still the dominant guy by himself or whatever, it's just a change of scenery, bro. Like, especially now after you see the whole toxic relationship thing going on with um, Portland and their stars. The GM was being investigated for some comments and some of his ways, I guess, around the team. And then also you got Chauncey Billups, who's a young coach. I think this is like his first time coaching.
mhm.
And then you got like I just don't see Portland winning a championship. And I would like to see Dame win a championship. I don't want him to be that type of guy where he turns into Chris Paul. Not saying that Chris Paul isn't a great player, but ring wise, you don't want to be that type of guy where you situated like a Chris Paul. Because if we could recall correctly, Chris Paul is loyal. The problem is he is loyal to organizations that wasn't loyal to him. Like Chris Paul, everywhere he go, he would sign an extension and say, "Oh, I want to stay with the Hornets." Okay, they trade you. Then you go to the Clippers. Oh yeah, I want to stay at the Clippers. Okay, they trade you. Then you go to Rockets. Oh yeah, okay, cool, we cool, yeah. Next thing you know, they trade you. Oh, then you go to OKC. Yeah, man, I good, yeah. They trade you. Like at some point, yeah, you want to be loyal to the organization until you realize that these organizations ain't loyal to you, bro. So at the end of the day, if he is happy in Portland, I would say stay where you happy. It ain't make no sense leaving to go someplace where you ain't sure you could find the same happiness. But if you ain't, bro, I encourage you to go find happiness. If happiness is in Miami or LA or New York or Boston or Toronto or wherever he feels like playing, if happiness is there, I encourage him to go find happiness.
The thing is, Kevin Garnett said once a couple of years back, loyalty could cost you some stuff, right? Loyalty could cost you a lot of things in life. Being loyal, like you say, to the wrong team, organization, company, person, whatever you want to call it. Loyalty could cost you a lot of stuff. And this is the argument I had with G when he was on the other day. And you know, like I say, with Dame's situation, I think Dame looks at himself and he wants to be loyal. You know, he saw Giannis winning a ring last year, and he want to be that type of dude. He want to be a Giannis. You want to be a Dirk, right? And to me, that's what's going to cost him. Because you see Giannis and Dirk, and you say, oh, yeah, they stayed and they won rings. Like I tell G the other day, when you are championships rarely randomly happen. Rarely do they randomly just be out the blue type of situations. A lot of times, these are teams that are knocking on the door for years. For years, they are knocking on the door of getting a championship, and they just happen to break through 1 year, right? With Giannis, best record in the East, multiple years, Eastern Conference Finals, uh, once or twice, right? A dude that's knocking on the door for a championship. And last year, he just happened to break through. Dirk, best record in the West, best record in the NBA, Western Conference Finals battles with Tim Duncan, Western Conference Finals with the Western Conference battles with the Lakers, Shaq and Kobe, right? Gets to the finals in '06. Okay, you knocking on the door for a championship. Eventually, you feel as if you will break through. Portland has never been close to a championship contender. Obviously, they could put blame at Dame's shoes, and some of it is always on the staff. But if you ain't never been close, a lot of it is the roster, right? A lot of it is I didn't believe they should have fired their coach, to be honest with you. Billups, he probably may make a good coach later down the line, but he's not an experienced guy. Um, so you ain't close to winning a championship in Portland. And Portland in danger of missing the playoffs this year. So for me, I feel as if for Dame's sake, if he wants to be recognized the way you think he should be recognized, it's probably better he leave. Um, you could be viewed in the worst light than a dude like Harden, um,
And I
who
don't even
also
see where Simmons fit in there. He said he wants to play with Simmons. Where Simmons supposed to fit on that team?
Simmons would have to they'd have to trade CJ. That's for sure.
Oh, okay. And
Um, but even with CJ, I don't like I. That's not a trade I think Philly would even want to entertain. I mean, Philly already have uh, Seth Curry who playing very good. They already have Moxie who playing very good. I don't see where they would even entertain a small guard anymore, unless he's a surefire superstar like a DM, like a Steph, like a Kyrie. If Kyrie say you want to play there or whatever the case may be. With Simmons and Philly, he'd have to play the four. He can't play point guard, obviously with DM there. Um, and he would just he would just turn into a super role player, in my opinion. To me, I think that's what Ben Simmons is anyway, a super role player. Um, and I think uh, would it work in Philly? I think they'd be a little bit better, but I don't think they'd be that much. I mean, would it work in Portland? I think they'd be a little bit better, but I don't think it'd be that much better. Um, I just think the Wood needs to, either shut up or leave. You know what I mean? You can't be constantly complaining, crying, expecting people to feel sorry. And then they had a report today too with DM saying that he's eligible for a contract extension next year. That would make him the highest paid player in the NBA. So I mean, if those things on the table, I can't blame you for wanting to stay, bro. You'll be a highest paid player in the NBA.
yeah, I guess.
All right, man.
And
Um,
like I told you before, not every player is coming here looking for that legacy foolishness, you know. At the end of the day, some fellas realize that hey, they basketball is life, but at the end of the day, you got family, you got generations you want to secure. And at the end of the day, if you could make $50 million per season or $45 million per season, why not? I must leave that and sacrifice money to go play with man. No man. See these other man lovers could do that because they have off the court endorsements and shoe deals and Gatorade and Sprite and they could make that money off the court rather than on the court. Yeah, they might have off the court endorsements too, but it isn't to the point of these guys. So what I giving up money for? And at the end of the day, even if I go someplace and win one championship, am I even going to be in the conversation of best point guard ever? No. Am I even gonna be? Am I even in the conversation for best point guard in the league right now? No, because Steph Curry killing guys. So it's like leaving is leaving even beneficial and leaving basically 100 mil on the table. Be beneficial just to say, oh, I went to a team and win a championship. No, bro. If I see that 100 mil on the table, you give me 50 something for 2 years. That ain't cool. I'll buy me a championship ring.
And sometimes the legacy is the coin, like you say. I mean, like you making 200 something mil, right? And a city that you love, right? You have all your family here, you got your home here, right? Not only that you love the city love you, right? So your face there good inside Portland. You know what I mean? You're making all the money you want to make. You're still recognized as a very great player, right? You may say, okay, but I good with that. You're mad you're losing, of course. You're mad you're getting your head punched off. But at the same time, it's like, okay, I would rather stay here and get my head punched off than, like you say, go to a city I don't really like that. I don't like LA traffic and all that other stuff. I don't like how cold New Yorkers get. Um, and then obviously you gotta adjust yourself to that city. You coming in to play with another dude. It may be his hometown. You'll never be as beloved as him. So there's a lot of factors going on there. There's a lot of factors going on there. Like I say, for his sake, if he wants to win a championship, I'd say leave because I don't see that happening there. They have too much work they have to do. But if it ain't only about the rings, bro, you want to get that coin, I hope they give it to you, dog. That's all I can say. I hope they give it to you. You know what I mean? Kemba Walker was in a similar situation with Charlotte a few years back, coming off an All NBA third team, and he's eligible for a contract extension, a big contract extension. Jordan said, "Well, I ain't giving that to you. Kemba to go move." See what I'm saying? So I hope they give it to you, bro. That's
My
all I
thing
can say.
is, uh, this is their chance to reconcile because you got the coach that you want. You got Chauncey. Now you just fire your GM. You need to get a GM in there that's gonna make it worthwhile. If you want him to stay, not even just a contract extension, but before you even think about the contract extension, think about who you could pair this guy with to even make your team contenders. You can expect a guy to stay. And then you literally, like for the past 2, 3 seasons, these guys have literally gone out and gave him nothing. If your best signing in the past 2, 3 seasons is a Carmelo Anthony who was out of the league for almost a year, then come on, bro. Obviously, you ain't even trying. Like even in the free agent market, like we had a lot of free agent these past 2, 3 years. Like key free agents and good pieces that were available, and you legit wasn't even in the runnings for any of them. Like you weren't even going out and persuade no one. So if they could get a GM in there who's persuasive or who's well respected, and at least guys could at least even listen to his office in the off season. Maybe you could get a nice centerpiece. Um, Maybe you could get a nice wing, a small forward. I see they say Indiana might be trying to rebuild. If you could get a Miles Turner down there, or you could get
Yeah, that's a bonus too.
as a bonus or a Levert or something over there to at least give you some help. Because to be honest, I feel like CJ is now on a decline. Um, he's not gonna have the years he had of past. So if you got guys like them who on the decline now, who it's not gonna be of much help to you. You at least need something to make you want to stay. Like even if we don't win a championship, bring me a teammate who I like to play with, who I can have fun playing with. Even if we ain't winning no championship or winning too much games, at least we are here having fun. Make me want to
Yeah,
stay.
I think with CJ, I wouldn't say he's on a climb, but I just never thought they really fit together. To be honest, I thought they just used to try and make it work. And at the end, they play styles a lot similar. Dame takes a lot more. Uh, I think Dame is a more versatile scorer, but yeah, I think Dame don't really need another guy in the backcourt who you have to share that ball handling duties with. You need a nice solid wing player that can play both sides of the ball, and a really good big man. I think would help him out a lot too. Nurkic is good when healthy, but he rarely healthy. Um, so like you say, maybe look call it Indiana. See if we get Sabonis. See if you get Miles Turner, right? See if you get one of them players. They could help you. They could help you right now, right? They can make your team a lot more competitive, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but you're reaching the tipping point with that stuff, and it's sad to see. We talked about Chris Paul a little bit earlier, switching gears a little bit. Um, and right now, Phoenix and Warriors right now are battling for the two top seeds in the Western Conference, basically in the NBA. If you had to pick the day, who you would give the edge to for best team in the NBA? We were quarter way through the season, so it's a good time.
Obviously, I would go with Golden State. Um, because to me, the pieces what people don't realize is number one, Clay ain't even back yet. When Clay comes back, it doesn't automatically mean oh Poole them can't get their buckets. But now you have a reliable six man coming off the bench who makes your second unit even more dangerous, along with Clay coming back and making your first unit more dangerous. And then they don't have Wiseman back yet. So Wiseman is another big piece who isn't asked to do too much. You could come in, rebound, get some blocks, do what you have to do, and slide out. We ain't asking you to come here and give us 20 and 10. So you got Wiggins playing much better. Well, Draymond loving a team full of man. Ain't nothing more. Ain't nothing more
You
Draymond
can give
like.
Draymond some props now.
For the
He
past
play
two
he,
years,
he
he
play a
been
good
doing
defense.
garbage. Now all of a sudden he get man around him. You could hear him talking again. He started shouting again, running on again. But yeah, we all know that's a hoax because we all know that when he by himself, he ain't into nothing. But yeah, with that team missing those two big pieces, they still give the Suns a run for their money. Steph is obviously unbelievable. Chris Paul is pretty good,
Yeah.
but they lack pieces that Golden State fit. At the same, like you have Devin Booker there, but obviously Golden State wins the shooting matchup. When you get Draymond them and all these other guys back, Wiseman, they'll win the physical matchup. They like come like it's really not a blowout or not a big discrepancy, but I just give the edge to Golden State now, even with those pieces missing. And when those pieces come back, they're going to be even more dangerous.
Yeah, I think I give the edge to Golden State too. Like you say, I mean, for my reasons, mainly, Steph is the best player if they was to face in a 7 game series, right? So I usually pick the team who have the best player. Steph's the best player if they face in a 7 game series. And then second reason, like you say, Clay and back yet. Like we evaluating Golden State, Clay is not back yet. Clay is a proven piece in Golden State. You don't have to guess how he will play. He's a proven piece, right? So Clay comes back, right? What they getting out of Wiggins right now is unbelievable. Right? Wiggins is always a good player, but what they getting out of him, Wiggins is not dominating the ball. He's playing within the offense, and he's just making plays. Poole, his minutes will take a hit, whatever. That's expected. But I still see him as a guy who will come off the bench, Once Clay comes back, give you shorts. Give you shorts, give you points, give you assists, or whatever the case may be. Um, Wiseman, I don't think Wiseman will have that big of a role, but he's another big body you could throw out there. He'll give them size. They don't have size like that. So he'll give them size. And yeah, I just think uh, like I said, I think they have the best player in that series. And when Clay comes back, if Clay is even 80% of Clay, I get him an edge. Um, this is not saying that I have them as a surefire champions, um, because there's still a lot of season left, right? And even with Phoenix, I do like Phoenix team, but I think Phoenix definitely have a more complete team than Golden State. I'll say that in terms of starting five, I don't see any real weaknesses in Phoenix starting five. Right? You got Chris Paul, Devin Booker in the backcourt, two shot makers can make shots from anywhere on the floor. Chris Paul, expert point guard, right? Best playmaker in the league probably. And then you got on the wing, you got Bridges, who D'ing up anybody and hitting threes. Crowder could play D, hit threes, although Crowder he did sometimes. And then Aiton, of course, right? So I don't see no weakness inside Phoenix squad starting line wise. I don't see no weakness. I think the biggest thing, like I say, is star power on Golden State. Now, with that being said, you still gotta watch out for Milwaukee on that side. You still gotta watch out for Brooklyn if they get Kyrie back. You know what I mean? It's still a lot of season left. You don't know how it could play out, but it's still a lot of season left.
Definitely.
And then even with the Lakers, right? Russ has been playing a lot better. Russ has been playing a lot better. To me, the biggest problem with the Lakers right now is Anthony Davis playing like a sissy. That to me is the biggest problem right now with the Lakers. He ain't stepping up to the plate. Um, and they have a lot of injuries in and out. LeBron in and out with injuries, which I expect because he's getting up there in age, right? So to me, Anthony Davis, 27 years old? This is the time he got to prove himself to be one of the top bigs in the league. And I feel like he ain't stepping up to the challenge right now.
Um, I agree in certain ways. I feel like there's no need to go all out now. It's just the beginning of December. The season is a long season. But at the same time, we all know, or we should know by now, Anthony Davis is a far better center at this point in time in the league's way than a power forward. When he came into the league, he was a defensive power forward. He turned himself into one of the best all around power forwards. But now, with the league being so fast and the league being so versatile, he's now more of a center. I'm also currently watching the Lakers game. Tonight, they started him at center and put LeBron at power forward, along with Horton, I think Bradley, and Westbrook. So I feel like Vogel now feeling the pinch and feeling the crowd. Because one thing with Lakers crowd, we ain't taking too much. It ain't no long rope around you. You start losing, we looking for you to get fired. We looking to have your head on a chopping block. So with that being said, this lineup I wasn't expecting to see until probably after All Star break. But I guess he is feeling the pressure
You feel like he,
of making adjustments now. And I still don't feel like this is the final lineup because I feel at some point um, LeBron isn't going to start at the power forward. I feel like when they get into the playoffs, at least offensively, you put LeBron as the point guard, just like what they did in the bubble. And you put Carmelo Anthony in there with Anthony Davis, and you could put almost any wing people in there, the two and three, and I feel like that'll be a much more successful lineup. But Ali Davis really needs to step up. But the only reason I don't give him too much flack for it is because I know he's a glass bottle. I don't need him out here exerting too much energy and doing too much. Because the second that little leg buckle or that little back or that little shoulder start hurting, That's another problem. So, um, I must say, watching this game, they do look much better. The offense does look like it's flowing much better. They up five on Boston at halftime. So we'll see how the change in lineup or the change in pace impacts the Lakers going forward.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I guess you mentioned something before, and that's the last question I got to ask you. Do you think, uh, do you think Vogel will get fired if the Lakers continue to struggle? And do you think he deserves to get fired? But that part is fine. You gotta find good at these.
Uh, I was watching this halftime show doing crap. But yeah, it still was on Andy Davis running on.
I say, if you think Vogel get fired, do you think
No,
Vogel will get fired, or do you think he deserves to get fired?
no. But right now, what it is, 24, I mean, 12 and 12. There's still many things you could do with this team, but you having so much versatile players. With AD, we could play multiple positions offensively and defensively. Westbrook, who could do the same. LeBron, who could do the same. When you have this much talent and this much versatility on one team, um, it's many options you could try before you could say, oh well, we need a new coach, whatever. Especially since Vogel has already proven himself with bringing a championship to the Lakers. It ain't like, oh, this LeBron third year or something here and Vogel ain't do nothing yet. Because, boy, trust me, Jason Kidd probably be our coach by now. Um, so I would give him until I would say February to really see where he's at. If we still at 500 or below 500 by time February comes, they will definitely let him go and would really tear this team up at the trade deadline, making certain adjustments in certain players uh, for better players or for bigger names or well, I wouldn't say bigger names because these are some big names already on our roster, but for some more players that better fit, I would say, with LeBron's playing style and how he wants to play his last couple of years in the league, I guess. Because this up and down pace that Westbrook trying to do definitely ain't it for him.
Yeah, it is for Westbrook, but like you said, it ain't for him. And but look, at the end of the day, like you say, Vogel already bringing them towards a championship. So I feel like it'd be really hypocritical to fire him right now just because they're struggling. But we've seen stranger things happen, especially in LA, right? Dudes fire Mike Brown 5 games into the season, right? So this LA is the pressure cooker. And if you ain't delivering, people got a short memory, but they ain't watching nothing. So you ain't delivering, they calling for your head, right? Calling for your head if you ain't delivering. So you better step up to the plate. You better wake up to the plate because at the end of the day, uh, heads will roll. I wouldn't be surprised if they call for LeBron head at the end of the season if he ain't not delivering.
Yeah, man, it's time to get him out of there. But it's hard. It's hard to get a player like LeBron out of there without him saying he wants to be out of there. But I think it is time to look at other options. I wouldn't, as much as you give up the young players that you already gave up for Anthony Davis and Westbrook. Um, I would say you have to get a big haul back. But who's the odd man out? Because my thing is Westbrook is a LA kid, grew up in LA, always wanted to play for the Lakers, always wanted to be there. And LeBron basically come and sit in the kitchen and beg him to come to LA. But same could be said almost for Anthony Davis. So it's almost like honestly and truly, who are they gonna put in the package? Who is gonna be that guy to say, hey, well, I straight, this, that, and the next? Me personally, I wouldn't do it to 80, but to see them doing it, I feel like they could do it to 80.
Yeah, I think at the end, I think you listen as long as I'm on 80 right now. We know you have the talent to be a top five player. So you gotta live with what he gives you right now. Because when LeBron leave, eventually it'll be him and Russ. And if Russ still in his stage here right now in his career, that could still be a very competitive team if you put some shooters around them, put some defenders around them. You know what I mean? That could still be a very, very competitive team. So we'll see what happens with the Lakers. Like I say, I think LeBron at the age right now where the cracks could start to show, and I ain't gonna write them off completely yet. We got a long season. Stephen A. said they becoming irrelevant or something like that. He was saying they got a long season,
Lakers will never
but
be irrelevant.
um, of course not with that. Not with being the Lakers and not with them names on that team. They ain't gonna be relevant. They could be a story all season long
Even
till the
when we
final
was
game of the season.
moving, people used to still talk about the Lakers more than teams that was winning. So the
Yep.
Lakers just is a brand. Lakers just a team you have to talk about. Even when the years when we had uh, Jeremy Lin and Luol Deng and these guy Mozgov and all type of crap, Lakers was still the team to talk about, the team to beat, the team to want to beat, even if they know like okay, this ain't even a championship team. But I guess Stephen A. and LeBron are pretty cool, I guess. So Stephen A. No, he's just trying to light a fire, basically trying to get on the guy's skin so they could be that dynamic team that we all want to see. Because you want to see a team where Westbrook clicking, getting triple doubles, LeBron clicking, getting triple doubles, and 80 clicking, going giving you I guess 25 and 12. Uh, Seeing that entertainment, probably Showtime Lakers with them running up and down the court, throwing alley oops and flashy plays and dunking all over the place. Um, but until it gets to that point, then people gonna always wonder when it's gonna come.
Yep. Long season. So we'll see what happens. Um, but yeah, like you say, we got a long season ahead. It'll be interesting to see how players open until down. Like I say, that's the pressure cooker. So uh, yeah, long season for both them and Brooklyn. We'll see what happens with them. Um, any shout outs before we go? We want to thank all y'all who watch. Big shout out to Rev Trio. We got another podcast Sunday, and we will hit you up with some NFL stuff. We got some big stuff along the way as well. Special guests coming. Um, so stay tuned for that. And I appreciate y'all rocking with us once again. Um, any shout out from you, X Factor?
Shout out the Solid Pods and the Solid Nation. Um, Shout out to everybody who tuned in. The holiday season is upon us. Um, Hope everybody have a safe holiday. Hope everybody have a wonderful holiday. Um, just shout out everybody, I guess.
Yep. So until next time, until Sunday, we'll see y'all later. Experts, we out.